Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be going over percussion, one of the most important aspects of trailer music. So before we get going, I just wanted to let you know that I added in a couple of musical elements just to make it a little thicker. I added in some Brahms, a drone, and a pulse, but otherwise most of it is percussion related. So let's hear the song and we'll dive into it. Okay, so that's the song. Before we get going, let's consider this the first act. Let's consider this the second act. And we can call this like an outro or third act. Generally, that's how how trailer songs are broken down, or 3 acts. Obviously, this is very condensed, but let's just roll with that. So, just by looking at the mix here, you can really see how it progresses. So we start from 4 tracks, 5 tracks. It looks like 8, and then we're moving on, and then near the end we've got maybe 10 to 15 tracks. So the goal is to get bigger and bigger as we're going along, but to do that you need to start out small, and obviously not every song starts out small in terms of trailer music or percussion or music in general, but this is generally what we're going for with the 3-act structure. So how did we do that? I don't want you guys to get too hung up on what instruments I'm using, because I know when I was starting I was like, what library is that? What library are you using? What is that? You do need to have a certain amount of libraries. You need to have things that cater to your needs, but right now we're really focusing on the process and how we're getting to these points of the song. So let's just start off by soloing literally the first instrument. Okay, super basic, right? What else do we got? So that's what I would consider like a low sound. So we don't want to make that that shouldn't be hitting too often, because it'll get really muddy in the mix because it's just like this low hit sound. I also got a low drums here. Let's see, what do those sound like? Okay, you can tell just by looking at these, it looks like this goes 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over again throughout the whole song. Actually, right to the end, except for right here. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see where my fingers. But so basically, I just had it repeating for most of the song. These guys are just kind of adding a little bit of pace, like the I actually had them pretty low. You probably wouldn't even hear them unless you really were listening for them. Okay, but let's move on. What do we got next? Okay, let's listen to that on its own. Right? Cool. So all together, we've got a good start to the song with the Brahm, and it sounds like the intro to a song. Let's just hear it from here. Oh, sorry, and the taikos. It sounds like the taikos, the epic taikos, are literally just playing what I had on this damage patch right here. Same thing, just doubling it, make it sound. I guess I thought, you know what, let's make it a little thicker. So now, just listening to it, we start off with the boom and the whoosh hits, but that's what we got. It's got pace, but it sounds like the start of the song, like something's coming. So you can see right here, we added a new instrument. What are those? The Cyberpunk trailer hits. What are they doing? So they're literally doing what the toms at the top are doing, but obviously they are a much different sound. These ones we could play more often. As I mentioned, the toms, you don't want to play those like at a high pace because they'll get very muddy. So these are like the stereotypical high sound you hear in a trailer. Like, you know, it's like the ch-ch-ch-ch. It sounds almost like a white noise, right? So, but we got those going on now. So we have, you can hear here a variation. So why do we have a variation at this particular point? So we've gone through, I guess that'd be 8 bars. I kind of see them as like, this is a set, and then we're restarting here. So now we need to have something interesting to get the listener's attention again, because if we just keep playing the same thing over and over again, it's not going to build, first of all, and it's not going to be very interesting. So we have, let's hear them soloed, because they're the same thing. The plastics and the dolls are playing the same thing. It's funny because on their own they sound extremely boring too, but combined with the other instruments it sounds pretty cool. So one thing I really like to do, especially I like, you know, this is kind of like a hybrid trailer song. So I like to use downers and risers kind of at moments that you wouldn't necessarily expect them. You know, usually we're using downers like in our breaks here to like go between 2 different sections of the song, like the act 1 and the act 2, but they can add a certain sound to the song that's really cool. So let's hear it, listen for it if you can hear the downers. It's pretty bassy. You might not hear it on your speakers depending on what you're doing, but so now we've got everything we already had before. We've got the plastics added, the little variation with the dolls, and then we got the downers. And right around here you can hear that, actually just slightly before that, you can hear that there's a riser coming in, and it's working towards the end of the first act. So that's why we need to start adding in, we're really trying to bring it home here that we're leading up into something big. So let's hear it from the second one here. Okay. So you can see once you start bringing it home or whatever, we've got like 4 different instruments that are coming in. So let's go over those. So the downers are still happening, but we got sticks. Cool, gives us a little kind of like a higher frequency sound. We've also got some synthetic drums. What are they doing? Just kind of like a 4 to the floor style. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even think, yeah, you know what? I don't think we had that at any point. So this is, you know, a little faster than what's going on in the trailer drums in the Tom Barrage, because it is a mid sound where we can play a little more often. One thing I also like to do is add kicks. So that's definitely like a sound that can, or like a MIDI sound that can create some uniqueness to the song. So let's hear that as well. Right. Cool. Right, and one of the last things here we got are medals. But those are kind of going, like those are going on the 2 and the I guess the 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. So it's almost like a snare on a drum kit. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So they're just emphasizing what's going on in the song. And then lastly, we got right at the end here, I think I decided that I was just like, I just want something a little higher up. And these guys are from Devastator. They're just kind of like a ting, 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 ting sound. Let's hear that on its own. Kind of goes with the sticks. Play that again. That wasn't clear. Right, so nothing, again, it's not like I'm playing anything here that is like out of this world. Everything is pretty simple, but all together we get something that's pretty cool. So let's go from here to the end. Okay, sorry, let's do it from here. Okay. This really isn't that important to the percussion section, but right here we have like a downer, a little gap, and some whoosh hits to make it just, here, you can even see it here. Downer, gap. there. Okay, we'll get to this end part here because that's really important. But what did we change here? These are still playing the same thing. I believe these are still playing the same thing as well. The low drums. Okay, so what I did was, the way that this instrument works is that basically you can just play up your whole keyboard. So if you add in another line at the top here, it's just playing another set of notes. So it just goes, it gets thicker. So you can, let's just hear it on its own like this. Right, and then when, not even that noticeable to be honest. It's just another line playing, so it just got a little thicker. The damage here, let's compare it to the original sound. So you can see I also doubled this one up. So it originally sounded like this. Right? And then when we came back in for that second act, there's just 2 lines playing it. Cool. The taikos are the same. The cyberpunk drums, as you can see, are the same. The plastic. Okay, so since the plastic changed, so what are we doing? Basically, what we're trying to do is, oh, sorry, the taikos is what I said changed. No, those are the same. I thought I said something changed, maybe I didn't. These plastics are definitely different. So you can see they go from being sounding like this. So they're, you know, they're hitting fairly often, but now we're change it up. Obviously variation, once your ears hear variation, you're like, ooh, that's different. So it sounds cool. Assuming it, yeah, you put it in correctly, but we added some variation to that. You can see the Epic dolls are doing the same thing that the plastics are doing. So they're also showing that variation now that we've got here. So together, because they're a little thicker together. Cool. The downers still happening. Our sticks are happening much faster now. So that's actually quite a change. So let's hear, so this is what it originally sounded like. And then here's for the second act. Cool. Okay. That definitely adds like more pace to the song where you're like, oh, something's happening here. So our trailer drums are the same. The cyberpunk trailer drums are the same. Our metals are the same. Obviously, there's, like I said, at the end here, there's a little bit different. Basically, our punches are still doing what they were doing. Sorry, this was the kick. And so what I did as well was I added in a mauer, which is the same as the lower drums. I guess I just wanted more pace. I was like, let's just thicken up those low drums, even though we added another line to them at the top like we spoke about earlier. Another thing we can hear here are the cymbals. So nice high end. So as I mentioned earlier, I like to use little downers and risers as we're going. So these are short risers. So I even called it short ending riser, a really creative name there. Right. So those are coming basically one after the other. I just added them on 2 different tracks so that they didn't really interfere with one another. So we basically added in some new variations of the different percussion. We added in cymbals. We added in short risers. It looks like I might have added in another whoosh hit just to make it a little thicker. But basically it's the same idea. We've added more and we've added some variations. And you can see right here at the end, this is what I was talking about. At the end, you can hear there's a bunch of like hits that lead into the break again. So let's listen from here on. Cool. So obviously the instruments are playing something new. So we've got, let's just top these ones right here. Right? So that dot, 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 dot. The cool thing, you know, the great thing with percussion too is that it doesn't have to be fast. Almost sometimes slowing down like really emphasizes things. So all together, or let's just do half. So that sounds cool, but I also really wanted to emphasize that. So I added in these classic hits and these short hits here. So let's hear them right at the end. That's the classic like trailer thing, right? It might not be emphasized in this track as much as say another song, because you can really hear those in like some trailers. It's like really prevalent how loud the high hits are. But so now all together with the risers that I mentioned earlier, we got risers, 2 risers here. Cool. So basically our third act here is, the third act here is broken up by this little gap. And I just went for I was like, I'll just be mostly quiet and then add a little riser in to set us up for that third act. Now, what do we do in the third act? Basically, it's just a quick little, it's mostly an outro, but so the tom barrages are finally playing a little bit faster, so you can hear them go ba, ba, ba. And then the low drums. So those guys are actually really bringing it home, the low drums. And I assume the Mowers are also doing that. So we really got that. So. Right? Let's just hear everything. So when you really break it down track by track, I think you can really hear that a lot of it is just doubling one another. Specifically right at the end here. And we have 1 cymbal hit, 2 cymbal hits. Could have even maybe added a cymbal hit at the end. One thing we got here, it looks like I just took this cymbal, this riser. And as you can see here, it's not as long because I basically, if I extended it here, oh, it's frozen, but let's unfreeze it. For those of you who don't know, when you freeze a track, it just helps with your computer so that it can run a little faster because there can be a lot going on. So freezing the tracks allows it to free up space for other instruments. So here's the track. This is the same thing as this one, it looks like, but all I did was shorten it because I only had, 44 to 47, these 3 bars here. So I cut it, and then I hit the, I hit the T button and then added in, actually I usually don't do it this way, but TA, and then I added in a fade so that it doesn't click at the start, so you can hear it. So if you didn't have that little fade, it would just maybe start off with, not all the time, but have like a little sound. We don't want that. So I basically customized the length of the riser so that it goes the rest of the song, so that it really feels like it's building again towards the end. And a lot of times songs will end with like a boom at the end. That might have even been able to come later. Whatever. It's up to you and whoever's asking you to write a song. So what did we do at the end here? We basically just added in something that's like quick. And it's like a pretty big change from the rest of the song. It just felt like an ending to me. So one of the biggest things I had to learn were writing endings for songs. And this felt like, okay, we've got an ending here. So that's basically the track. As you can see, again, we kept building and building towards the end of the song. We had some Brahms, we had some whoosh hits, we had some booms and stuff like that. But the drums, the percussion are really what drove it home, along with the risers and some effects like the downers and stuff like that. So that's basically the song. So it's really something that everyone is capable of doing if you just have to really break it down and start with something small, like we did with we started with this. That's what we start with. And then just kept building from there, adding and adding. And the thing is too, along the way, you'll add things to be like, no, you know what, I need to take this away. And that happens, or you need to add it to a point later. Totally possible. Just go with what your ear sounds great, or sorry, it sounds great to your ear rather, and keep building. And then when you get to the end, you can go back and change things. So thanks for coming by for the video. Have a great day. And if you have any questions, just comment at the bottom and I'll reach out. Have a great day. Bye.